That when Jesus came to earth, he came to die for all our sins.
Porque todos, por naturaleza, sabemos que existe un Dios.
So I was glad to have one of the features of my son-in-law's car. We inherited the car from my son-in-law and daughter, and it has this feature known as cruise control. And so a lot of times where I was going, the speed limit was 75 miles an hour, and I could put it on cruise control. I didn't have to think about anything. I could just drive. Didn't have to think about how fast I was going. But the thing about cruise control is it works good most of the time, but every once in a while it's a problem because the traffic gets heavy and you have to adjust to things going on, and so you have to make an adjustment to the cruise control and turn it off. Well, that is also the way it is in life. Oftentimes we're going along and we just keep cruising, but things are going wrong. Things aren't exactly right, but somehow we can just keep going until circumstances dictate that we do otherwise. And it's in times like these, times when there's a COVID epidemic, times when there are riots and unrest and protests, times when there's an election going on, when it breaks our pattern. See, we tend to get into a pattern in our life where maybe things aren't exactly right at home, right? But we can get through it because we know we're going to go to our job. And so there'll be a break, and maybe things will settle down while we're gone. Or sometimes things aren't quite right at work in the relationships there, but we can get through it because we know we'll be able to go home. Or maybe even things aren't right between people at church, but that's okay because we'll see them next Sunday. And in between we can think about other things. Well, the truth is that it's not okay. That when things are wrong, we're not supposed to just put it on cruise control. We're supposed to do something about it. And the antidote to all relational problems that we have is found in one word, and that word is forgiveness. Forgiveness is central to Christianity. Without forgiveness, there would be no Christianity. And yet, in our lives, if we took a random a survey, an honest survey of our members here, or maybe let's just say we drop into a house somewhere in the neighborhood, we might find a middle-aged father and a teenage son in some kind of dispute, and it's late at night and they get into a large argument, and things get hot, and finally the son just yells out, "I hate you," and he goes out the door and he gets in his dad's car and peels out and takes off, and he's telling himself, I hate my dad, I'm never going to forgive him. I'm never going to forgive him. And he takes off. That might be the case in some, if we dropped off to, maybe dropped into another house, maybe we would find, let's say, a young lady in her 20s with a couple kids. And maybe she's always been told her whole life that she's messed up, that she's no good, and that she's made too many mistakes. And she even considers, is my life worth living? And she seems destined to just go on in this desperate state of being unforgiven. Or we might drop in to another family, and maybe it's a couple that's been married 30 or 40 years. They've stayed together all that time. And at first it was good. But after a while, they begin to have differences about things, and they begin to disrespect each other, and they begin to not work together. And after a while, over the years, they just kind of are two people living together in the same house. But neither one of them makes the first step. Neither one of them does anything different. They don't know how to get out of that box they're in, and so they are just destined to live out their lives together, but unforgiven. That's exactly what Jesus came to remedy. That's a problem that all of us can have. And we can put on a good front. We can act like things are okay. But God says, no, you need to deal with this. And the only answer is forgiveness. And to present us faultless before the presence of His glory with exceeding joy.
Con un gozo grande.
To the only wise God,
el único Dios sabio,
our Savior,
nuestro Salvador,
glory, majesty, dominion, and power, and to present us faultless before the presence of His glory
para sentarnos ante la presencia de Dios
with exceeding joy.
con un gozo grande.
To the only wise God,
El único Dios sabio,
our Savior,
nuestro Salvador,
glory, majesty, dominion, and power,